Objective A, factor a trinomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 1. In last section, we have practiced factoring trinomial of the same form, whose coefficient of x squared is 1. And back then, we introduced a method called educated guess. Basically, you create a table, and then you're going to come up with a pair of numbers. After you do cross multiplication, you should get exactly the same middle term as the original trinomial. In this section, the method is the same. You already know how to do it. The only difference is the first term. Underneath the first term, it's not going to be x and x anymore. So you will have to come up with two numbers again, such that when you multiply, you're going to get the first term. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same. So let's look at number 1. 3x squared plus x minus 2. Under 3x squared, this time it's not going to be x and x anymore, because x times x, it's not going to be 3x squared. So there's one choice that will work. You could do, let's actually change the same color that we have been using. You could do 3x and x, right? If you do 3x and x, then 3x times x, that will give you 3x squared. Under negative 2, well, under negative 2, there are not many choices. You could do negative 2 and 1, or 2 and negative 1. So let's try negative 2 and 1. If I do negative 2 and 1, let's do cross multiplication. 3x times 1, that's 3x. Negative 2 times x, that's negative 2x. 3x minus 2x, that did give you x. So we are very lucky. The first try, it's what we want. If you try the other one, you're going to get negative x. If that happens, that basically means that you're going to switch the sign. You don't have to change the order. But if you get a different number than positive 1x or negative 1x, that means you might need to switch the numbers, switch the order, or change the signs. Therefore, we're going to write down our factor form horizontally. So you're going to look at it horizontally. 3x minus 2, x plus 1. And that completes our factoring for number 1. Number 3, 11w plus 3 plus 10w squared. Before you do anything, make sure it's in descending order, or it's in the trinomial form that's desired. Apparently this is not, so I'm going to switch the orders. 10w squared plus 11w minus 3 in descending order. And then we're going to do educated guess. Under 10w squared, we could try 2w and 5w. But you could also try 10w and 1w. That's also a possibility. And then under 3, let's just try 1 and 3. How about that? Because 1 times 3, that gives you 3. Now let's verify by doing a cross multiplication. 2w times 3, that's 6w. 5w times 1, that's positive 5w. 6w plus 5w, that's exactly 11w. And it's what we want as well, because we want positive 11w. Therefore, we're going to write our factor form horizontally. So you have 2w and 1, 5w and 3. Both the numbers are positive, so you're going to put a plus sign in the middle. Make sure you write the two factors horizontally, not diagonally. It's super important. Number 5, 3x plus 10x squared minus 18. Again, this is not in descending order. We're going to rewrite 10x squared plus 3x minus 18. Now let's do educated guess. Under 10x squared, you could try 5x and 2x again. Or you could try 10x and 1x. Under negative 18, I'm going to try negative 6 and 3. Let's do cross multiplication and verify it. 5x times 3, that gives you 15x. 2x times negative 6, that gives you negative 12x. 15x minus 12x, that is 3x. And 3x happens to be what we want as well. So we found our educated guess, and we're going to write our answer horizontally. And we have 5x minus 6, 2x plus 3. Number 7. 35 minus 31x plus 6x squared. It's not in descending order, so we're going to rearrange. 6x squared minus 31x plus 35. So in this video, I'm not going to show you all the combinations. I'm just going to show you the correct combination. But to practice, I highly recommend that you pause the video every time when I'm about to give you the correct chart. Try to create the chart yourself. The more you practice, the faster the process is going to become. So don't get frustrated if you can never come up with the correct combinations. You do need to practice in order to find out the little tricks. Once you practice enough, I guarantee you that you could get the combination the first time. Yes, the first time. So you only need to try once and you will get the answer. But that does require you to do a lot of practice. For this one, 6x squared, I'm going to have 3x and 2x. Under positive 35, I will have negative 5 and negative 7. So here is a little trick that I can tell you. The product is positive 35, but the sum in the middle is a negative 31x. What that means is the two numbers that you pick under 35, both of them have to be negative. Because otherwise you won't be able to get negative in the middle. And that's a little trick that you can remember for this kind of factoring, and it could narrow down your choices by a lot. So let's do cross multiplication and check out our guess. 3x times negative 7, that's negative 21x. 2x times negative 5, that's negative 10x. Negative 21x minus 10x, that's negative 31x. And that is indeed what we want. Negative 31x, so it is correct. And then we're going to write down our factor form horizontally. We have 3x minus 5 and 2x minus 7. Make sure you write it horizontally. Moving on to number 9. Again, it's not in descending order, so let's rearrange. 9x squared plus ax minus 1. So don't go straight to factoring. Never do that. You need to make sure that it's a descending order. Some of the expression, which we will see in number 11, requires you to factor out a GCF. So that's actually the second thing that you do. Check out whether or not they're in a GCF to take out. For number 9, just like all the other problems, we don't have an GCF that we can take out. So that means you're going to go straight to educated guess. This one, I'm going to do 9x and x underneath 9x squared. And I'm going to do negative 1 and 1 underneath negative 1. Cross multiplication, and let's check. 9x times 1, that's 9x. X times negative 1, that's negative x. 9x minus x, it's the same as 9x minus 1x, right? And that's going to give you ax. So this is exactly what we want, because we want positive ax in the middle. Our educated guess is correct. And then we're going to write down the factor form, two pairs grouping symbols. Read it horizontally, and you will have the two factors, 9x minus 1, x plus 1. Number 11, 30x cubed minus 27x squared plus 6x. First of all, it's in descending order, so we don't have to rearrange the terms. However, it's not a quadratic expression, right? The highest degree is not the second, it's the third. So that means we have to check whether or not we could factor out any GCF. Let's look at the coefficient first. 30, 27, and 6. All of these numbers can be divided by 3, and that number is also the GCF, greatest common factor. Check out the variable part, x cubed, x squared, and x. All of them have at least one x, so you could take out an x. That's your GCF. Write down what's left. So you're going to do a division. 30x cubed divided by 3x, that's 10x squared. Negative 27x squared divided by 3x, that's negative 9x. 6x divided by 3x, that's positive 2. And now we have a quadratic expression which we can do educated guess for. Under 10x squared, I'm going to use 5x and 2x. Under positive 2, check out the middle term. Middle term is negative and our product is positive. So that means the two numbers that we pick have to be both negative. So I'm going to choose negative 2 and negative 1. Negative 2 times negative 1, that's going to give you positive 2. Cross multiplication, and let's check out the result. 5x times negative 1, that's negative 5x. 2x times negative 2, that's negative 4x. Negative 5x minus 4x, that is negative 9x. And it is what we're looking for in the middle, negative 9x. Therefore, we're going to write down our factor form. Since we took out a GCF earlier, do not forget the GCF when you write down the final answer. So you have a 3x and then two pair of grouping symbols. Read your table horizontally and write down the two factors that we have. 5x minus 2, and then you have 2x minus 1. If you don't do it horizontally, you will get wrong factors. Number 13. 12y to the 4th plus 9y cubed minus 30y squared. This one is very similar to number 11, which requires us to take out GCF. It's already in descending order. If you take out GCF, the GCF is going to be 3y squared. And then we're going to do a simple division. The first term will have 4y squared followed by positive 3y, and then you have a negative 10. So that is just a simple division. Divide the original by 3y squared, and that's what you're going to get inside. And then we are able to do educated guess. Under 4y squared, I'm going to guess 4y and y. Under negative 10, I'm going to guess negative 5 and positive 2. Let's do a cross multiplication to verify. 4y times 2, that is 8y. 1y times negative 5, that's negative 5y. Therefore, we obtain 3y if you add them together, and that is indeed what we want in the middle, which is 3y. Therefore, we write down our final factor form. We have a GCF, so you have to drop down that GCF, 3y squared, followed by two pair of grouping symbols. Inside of the grouping symbols, you're going to read the table horizontally and write down your factors, which is 4y minus 5 and y plus 2. And that completes the factoring of number 13. I know you must be tired, right? Because we have done a lot of factoring so far. We have one more page to go. So if you want to stretch your body or take a break, you could pause the video. But I'm not gonna pause the video because I'm recording. Number 15. Number 15 is also a very interesting one because we have two variables, x and y. So the first thing to do is I'm gonna take out a GCF. Actually in descending order, sorry. So actually in descending order. First, write in descending orders. If you look at this, we have two variables. How do you determine the degree? Well, you're going to add the degrees of each variable. That will be the degree of that specific term. If you look at the first term, it's xy squared. This is a third degree, right? Because x is the first degree, y is the second degree. Add them together, that's a third degree. Second term, this one is a fourth degree because x is the first and y is the third. 1 plus 3, that's 4. That's a fourth degree. And then finally, 18xy, this is easy, it's the second degree. Because x and y, both of them are the first degree. Therefore, we're going to rearrange the terms. 7xy cubed plus 27xy squared plus 18xy. So this is the descending order. Once you have the descending order, we are going to check out GCF, whether or not there's some GCF that you could take out. Looking at the coefficients, we don't have any number that we could take out. 7, 27, and 18, the greatest common factor, if you do a tree, you will see it's simply 1. Then look at the variable part. All of them have x, all of them have y, and the lowest power is 1. So you just take the lowest power, that's your GCF. You're gonna write down what's left. Do a simple division. The first term is gonna be 7y squared plus 27y and plus 18. Inside, we do have a quadratic expression of the general form. Under 7y squared, I'm gonna guess y and 7y. And then under 18, since the middle is positive, I will also choose two positive numbers. I'm gonna choose 3 and 6. Let's do a cross multiplication. Y times 6, that is 6y. 7y times 3, that is 21y. If you add them together, you get 27y. And that's exactly what we're looking for in the middle. So this educated guess is totally correct. Therefore, our final form, make sure you drop down the GCF, x, y, followed by two pairs of grouping symbols. Inside the grouping symbols, you're going to read horizontally, y plus 3, that's the first factor. Second factor is 7y plus 6. And that completes the factoring of number 15. Number 17. 6b squared minus 13ab plus 6a squared. This one, we're going to go straight to educated guess. Since there's no GCF, and in terms of descending order, b squared, ab, they're both second degree. A squared, it's also second degree. So all of them are second degree. We don't need to change the order. Under 6b squared, I'm going to choose 2b and 3b because 2b times 3b, that gives you 6b squared. Under 6a squared, since the middle term is negative, I have to choose two numbers that both are negative. So I'm going to try negative 3a and negative 2a. Because negative 3a times negative 2a, that gives you positive 6a squared. Let's do a cross multiplication to verify. 2b times negative 2a, that's negative 4ab. 3b times negative 3a, that's negative 9ab. Negative 4ab minus 9ab, that's negative 13ab. And that is indeed what we're looking for, so our educated guess is correct. Therefore, we write our final factor form horizontally. It's going to be two factors again. We have 2b minus 3a times 3b minus 2a. Number 19. Negative 30w squared plus 30amw plus 20m squared. In terms of descending orders, they all descend degree, so we don't need to do anything. Next thing will be GCF. Since the first term has a negative coefficient, I'm going to take out a negative GCF. The only thing that we could take out is actually 2. So negative 2 is the GCF, and then you write down what's left. We're going to have 15w squared minus 19mw and minus 10m squared. So that is what happens after you take out negative 2. And then inside, we're going to do educated guess. This one might take you a while because we do have a lot of choices. So the correct combination is under 15w squared, you're going to have 5w and 3w. Under negative 10m squared, you're going to have positive 2m and negative 5m. If you do cross multiplication, you could verify that you get negative 25mw plus 6mw. Oh yeah, I just found out that I copied the middle term incorrectly and it's supposed to be mw, not mv. And if we do cross multiplication, you add them together, it's going to give you negative 19 NW. And that's exactly what we're looking for in the middle, negative 19 NW. Therefore, we write our final factor form horizontally, drop down the GCF negative 2, followed by two pairs of grouping symbols. Inside, we read it horizontally, and they are 5W plus 2M and 3W minus 5M. And that completes your factoring for number 19. We're almost there. We have two more questions. 21. 21 is crazy looking, right? 54a squared x plus 45abx plus 6b squared x. First thing, make sure it's in descending order, which it is, because all the terms have third degree. And then second thing, GCF. If you take out GCF, the GCF is 3x. So the coefficients, you could take out 3. As for the variables, you could take out x. And then you write down what's left. It's going to give you 18a squared plus 15ab and plus 2b squared. So this is what's inside, and it's again a quadratic form. You have two variables, so we're going to make educated guess based on a and b. Under 18a squared, I'm going to guess 6a and 3a. Under 2b squared, I'm going to guess 1b and 2b. And now let's do cross multiplication. 6a times 2b, that's 12ab. 3a times b, that's positive 3ab. Add them together, we obtain 15ab. And that is what we're looking for in the middle. Actually, let me redo the circle. 15ab. That's what we're looking for. So we write down our final factor form. Drop down the GCF, which is 3x, followed by two pairs of grouping symbols. Inside each of them, you obtain by reading the table horizontally, 6a plus b, 3a plus 2b. So that is the factor form of number 21. That's probably the ultimate factoring. If you could factor number 21 and number 22 on your own, then you should have no trouble factoring any kind of trinomial for this class. Number 23. An object is thrown upward so that its height in feet above the ground at time t second is represented by this expression. Factor this expression. Well, it's just factoring. So let's check whether or not it's in descending order. It's in variables of t, and it is in descending order, so we're going to look at the next step, which is GCF. By looking at the numbers, we do have GCF. Since the first term has a negative coefficient, we're going to take out a negative GCF. 1656 and 240, if you do trees, you will realize that the GCF is 8. So the GCF that we're going to take out is negative 8. Once you take out negative 8, you're going to divide each term in the original expression by negative 8. Negative 16t squared divided by negative 8, that's positive 2t squared. Positive 56t divided by negative 8, that's negative 7t. And finally, 240 divided by negative 8, that's negative 30. Let's factor this. Do educated guess. Under 2t squared, you only have one choice, 2t and 1t. Under negative 30, I'm going to try 5 and negative 6. Let's do cross multiplication to verify. 2t times negative 6, that's negative 12t. T times 5, that's positive 5t. Negative 12t plus 5t, that's negative 7t. And it is indeed what we are looking for in the middle. So that's our correct educated guess. And then we're going to write down our factor form. Make sure you copy the GCF negative 8, followed by two pairs of grouping symbols. Inside, you're going to have the table horizontally, and that's your two factors, 2t plus 5, and then you also have t minus 6. So the factor form for this expression is negative 8 times 2t plus 5 times t minus 6. Whew, we finally finished 6.3. That's a lot of work. And if you actually finish watching up till this point, you are really great. I really admire you. Well, thanks for watching.